my best friend got there. She came, held my baby until my sister got there.
Okay.
So she was her job was like around the corner from where I was. So it was like 6:00 in the morning. So she was like getting ready for work anyway. So instead she came and sat there with Nate until my sister got there, and she took him. So they had him the entire it was like 7 days that they had him, and so I was a mess in the hospital because I was separated from my baby at such an early time.
Yeah. And like in the first week.
Yeah,
it was
a couple days, right?
It was like I had him on the 26th of October. It was the 1st of November.
That's wow.
Yeah, so
hard. Wow.
It was really tough. It was really hard, but I knew I had to get better in order to take care of my baby. It was to the point where, I mean, I needed to take care of myself. And so when I got into the hospital, that wasn't even just it. I got into the hospital, so they were like, okay, there's an infection. We got to shoot her up with some kind of antibiotics. And
shoot her up with some antibiotics.
I definitely have on everything that I'm allergic to amoxicillin.
Oh, no.
So they didn't give me amoxicillin, but they gave me a derivative of it. So I'm sitting on a hospital bed, completely in hives, and they told me, okay, well, since we already started giving this to you, we have to like alternate.
Sorry,
I just belted across the neck. They have the alternate Benadryl and the antibiotics. So since it was all done through IV, I'm like knocked out every like 4 hours because of the antibiotics that they have to give me. So it was a different experience, but of course I had to get better. So he came and visited me in the hospital. He apologized, and he came every single day and visited me in the hospital. Made sure I was okay, and our relationship from there got a lot better. He ended up spending the night 2-3 days a week, make sure I had nothing to do with the kid, and I just got some sleep and got to work. So
that's great.
That is awesome. It all got a lot better. It got a lot better. We even got into pretty much a relationship and everything. He ended up moving in, and we were pretty much one big happy family. Everything actually worked out. Up until about a year ago, we did break up, and so right now we are not together, but we co-parent. I am very, very, very committed to making a great life for my son. So no matter what missteps he has, I always make sure I make up 2, 3, 4 times as much as what my son needs. And I never let my son ever see us have a bad relationship. I have a rule not to argue in front of my son. I have a rule to always show my son a good father-son, father-mother relationship. So he never has to look back and say, hey, my father mistreated my mother, or my mother didn't like my father, or anything like that. So to my son's knowledge, he thinks we are a happy family, a happy relationship. He even comes and helps every now and then. Everything could be a lot better. I'm not going to lie. Financially, he doesn't really support us. But that is something that I take full responsibility of, and I make sure that I do everything possible for my son. So that's where we are today.
That's awesome. And he is a very happy little boy.
He is a very happy
little boy. And he's so cute in his little Falcons jersey.
Oh my goodness. It's game day.
It's
game day in Atlanta, y'all. I don't know what that's.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
We're in the
I saw it earlier.
A winning team, that's what it is.
Win.
Look.
Every now and then.
A lot. We win plenty.
Whenever Russell steps up.
They do have that Super Bowl.
Yeah, they did.
We're going to get there. Anyways.
We will.
Then we can revisit this conversation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like thank you so much for sharing. Like even though we have known each other for several years, we just,
2007?
Wow.
Is it 7?
2007.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but you know, like that's one of the things about friends is you go through phases of being in contact and not being in contact, and like I had no idea you were even pregnant. Like I Facebook stalk y'all, okay? Like, and I'm like a baby. Let me go back and look at these pictures.
I'm
Like-
very private. I am very private when it comes to
Yeah.
my personal life because I know how harsh people can be.
Yes.
And even though sometimes it's not any of anybody's business what anyone is going through,
No.
you share what you want to share.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have people sharing every single bit of their lives, and those people aren't always the happiest.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I share what makes me happy because that's all you need to see.
Yeah.
And when I finally did share my pregnancy, it was because I no longer wanted to hide it. Like it was something that was going to happen, whether I liked it or not, whether you liked it or not, it was going to happen. So I shared it when I was full ready to share it. So I was excited I was having a son. I prayed for a son, didn't want a daughter.
It's like Angel.
I did not
Yep.
want a daughter at all.
Yep.
I knew if I had a little girl, she would have been a little doppelganger, and that's not what I wanted.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then one day it'd be like triplets.
Yeah. No.
Twin.
Okay. We're good.
Yeah.
But
But your twin doesn't have kids.
my twin doesn't have kids. My
Okay.
older sister's the
Older
one that
sister.
has kids. Yeah.
Man, they're the same age. That's really awesome.
Yeah. They are the exact same age.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Oliver has other babies that are his age, even if we don't have any that are family. 'Cause like on my family side, like I have siblings that started when they were really, really young, and I mean I didn't have Oliver till I was 29.
You have a nephew
So-
that's 2 years younger than us.
I do, yeah. So
Yeah.
but it's nice to have like people that are like an extension of family that
Yeah.
he can grow up with, because like he's got Melinda's daughter, and then he
Mhm.
has when we were talking earlier about Dawn and her 2
Mhm.
boys, he has them, and
Yeah.
it's just it makes a difference for them to have somebody to grow up with
Yeah.
that's
awesome.
close. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you again for sharing.
Yeah,
Of
we
course.
really
It's
appreciate
awesome. It is awesome, and your little boy is awesome.
Yeah.
And but we have 2 questions we've been asking everybody.
Yep.
Okay.
So the first question is, what is something that you wish that somebody would have told you? Like just a piece of advice you wish that you would have received during pregnancy, in the beginning of any time really. Like, what is one piece of advice you wish somebody would have given you?
Or even a warning.
Or
just
even a
something
warning.
that like if somebody had said
Like-
might would have made a little bit of a difference.
Like for me, it was that it's okay to be okay,
Mhm.
which seems you should know it's okay to be okay, but
no,
it's
I know.
not. It's so
That
it's-
mommy shaming thing is so real. Like
Yeah.
it's so real.
Well, I think I have 2 things. I wish someone told me that being pregnant is not daisies and
Sure.
and ice cream sundaes and
Although
it was
they're
not
delicious.
easy.
Rainbows and
Rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah,
we don't all get that glow.
No, like it wasn't easy. Like it wasn't the fact that I was alone for a good bit of it.
Sure.
It was more of the fact of there's a lot that goes into it. The constant horse pills you have to down.
Yeah.
I still take those back.
I was gonna say the prenatal
Prenatal vitamins.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and then there's a lot of pains that you don't know you're gonna experience, like the sciatica
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And like for me, like I could barely walk towards the end.
Yeah.
Like every time anybody ever talked about being pregnant to me, it was always positive.
Mhm.
Nobody ever really discusses the negative. And so I've always said all of my negatives with my positives
Yep.
to anybody
I
that
do the
ever
same
asked me
thing.
about being pregnant because no one ever told me. And I didn't have a personal experience. Nobody in my family has been pregnant. It's just been me and my sister at the same time. So we're experiencing everything at the
Together.
same time. Yeah.
That's kind of cool that you got to experience it
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
She loved it. And that's why
Yeah.
she was so excited when I finally told her.
Yeah.
But because she was going through it by herself too. So
Yeah. It's nice to have that support.
Yeah, it really is. So that's one thing. And I remember being pregnant, I tried everything to avoid the whole stretch marks, the
Oh.
diastasis, recti, all of that. And I still got both. So I wanted at least someone to tell me that no matter how hard you try, still a chance that it might happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are,
Nope.
it still is a possibility to happen. It's like some people are just more prone to experiencing it. Some people just don't. Some people just snap back like they're supposed to. And the snap back ain't always real. It doesn't always happen like that.
No.
I don't feel like I had a snap back. I feel like breastfeeding took all of my weight away. I breastfed for years successfully. So
Awesome.
at the end of that, I just felt like I couldn't gain any weight, but it just took it slowed my it sped up my metabolism a lot. So I think all of my weight loss to breastfeeding, but those are kind of like two top things I wish I kind of knew.
Yeah.
And then to talk about everything. Talk about everything. I joined a Facebook group called Black Moms Feed. And there was a lot of information that I didn't know. So anytime I had a question, there's always somebody that had already posted that question. So all I had to do was search the question and it was there. So a lot of things that a lot of like products that I found out that I should be using, a lot of things that I could do to easily breastfeed. It was from there. Like breastfeeding wasn't easy at all. At all. And when I went back to work full time, I was breastfeeding 4 times at work, 4 times at home in the entire day. So it was like 8 times a day of pumping and breastfeeding. So it was a lot. It was a lot. And daycare wasn't easy either. Dropping them off at daycare, that separation isn't easy either. So I just wish people would be a lot more real about what goes into pregnancy, breastfeeding, like everything. And I wish women were more open about it as well. So
That is definitely something that we are trying to do here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like get the information out there. It's different for everybody, but something that you went through is something that somebody else may be going through. Like especially that first week with the, that M word, mastitis. What she said. Like you don't always know. I worried about it. It never happened to me.
Mhm.
But every time I would like feel something
That-
I overproduced in the beginning.
Oh, I did at the end.
At the end?
Well, towards the end.
Yeah, I overproduced a lot in the beginning because I had to pump in the hospital.
Mhm.
She had a tongue tie. So I had to do both because my milk came in while I was in the hospital. And
yeah, mine was several days later.
Yeah,
Mine
well,
was several days later. And my son let me know.
It was
It
weird
wasn't
because I remember like standing in the shower celebrating that it was the first time I could stand up by myself in the shower without worrying about dying. And I went to like literally take my loofah and clean under my breasts and I was like, they are so heavy. And I was excited, but I was also like, that is such a bizarre when you've never done it, like had a baby before, like it's a little strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. But like that's definitely something to not everybody's aware of it or like even knows about it.
Well, and we were just talking the other day because they had is it a week or a day for the women of color,
A week.
A week. So we were talking about Melinda told me because I didn't know that they're trying to raise awareness about the fact that breastfeeding is so unsuccessful among women of color.
Yep.
And it's because of these ridiculous stereotypes and these biases of and it's like it's so crazy because even like so Melinda, myself, and then one of the other moms that we know, Dawn, we all had our babies at
Same
Northside.
hospital.
And she was treated because she is not a white woman. She was treated completely different in regards to breastfeeding. And that is
She never saw a
That
lactation consultant with either child.
absolutely absurd. And she is the only reason that I knew how to successfully breastfeed.
Mhm.
That is
Like,
crazy.
That is so insane. And it's like,
yeah.
it's one of those things that like, because people don't talk about it, I had no idea that was even like, I just assumed everybody struggled. I didn't realize that we're in 2019 and we started living in these stupid mindsets from like the 1800s. Like, so, and that's interesting because like, it's definitely like, it's crazy to me that the support is not there.
Everybody who's a mom is a mom. That's what
It's
matters.
ridiculous. It's
you know,
outrageous.
you had a baby, your body does things it's supposed to do. Like everybody should get that support, and not everybody does.
I do know, being a person of color, they don't really push breastfeeding towards us. It's more of like, okay, well, here's formula, and it's just the conversation is here's formula.
Just curious, did that happen to you in the hospital?
No, because I was really I
were
opened
adamant.
up with it.
Yeah.
I opened up and I had the whole what's the sheet called that you
Birth
put-
plan?
birth plan.
Oh,
I had a birth
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
We talked about
It was
that.
all
Birth plan.
listed, so there was no mistake.
No
You might
question.
want. Yeah, there was no question. It said absolutely
Boobs.
no formula.
Good.
Absolutely
Yeah.
no
That's
formula. I don't want to see it. Don't bring it in here. So I mean, I was one of those really, really organized mothers that had everything
Yeah.
completely planned out prior to getting there. So they
And
knew better than that.
And I do wonder, because we recently started having these conversations about that, because again, I didn't know it was like that big of an issue. I do have to wonder how many times mothers who have interest in breastfeeding are talked out of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's got to be an issue too, right?
Yeah.
Because they just assume that, oh, you're not going to do it, or oh, you're not gonna. So then they
You're gonna try and give up.
because
or-
they're the professional and you're trying to trust their advice, or if you're a new mom and you just don't know, like they say these things that are just enough of a nudge that are like, okay, I guess I just won't.
Yeah, I know that a lot of older Black mothers push formula towards like maybe their daughters or whatever, because I know some mothers looked at me and was like, why don't you just use formula? Why don't you? It's always like, it's never okay. Keep trying. You're gonna get there.
Yeah.
It's always okay. Just use formula, and that wasn't my mindset. That wasn't gonna happen. It was
Not the
like
support you
breastfeed
needed.
or it was like breastfeed or not. And if you see my son, I feel like he is a product of breastfeeding. I feel like I mean, I'm not gonna shame people that don't breastfeed or anything, but I do feel like when it comes to like immunity in the first year, when it comes to, there are perks to breastfeeding your kids.
Yeah.
And
Even if it's just the beginning.
yeah,
Like-
there are perks
Yeah.
to breastfeeding. my
If you
kid.
can. I mean, there are some people that don't ever even produce colostrum,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they don't have the opportunity. But I mean, anybody who has that opportunity, like, it does help. And formulas now
Amping
are
up their game.
they are much different than formulas
Yeah.
when we were
Oh,
born.
100%.
Yes.
Totally
I mean,
different.
Yeah.
I breastfed for successfully out of the 4 months I was able to, I would say probably about 2.5 months out of that time.
So you don't
I
make sure.
struggled in the beginning, and then I had some struggles once I went to work, which is pretty normal. But part of the problem that I had was I just didn't produce enough. And then I had a minor surgery when Oliver was about 4 months old. And then after the surgery, I had to pump and dump because I had anesthesia. And then my milk never
Didn't
came
come
back.
back.
It was
Yeah.
like from that day forward, I didn't have any. But like, he's he did formula after that, and then now he's on real food because he's over a year. But like, it's more about just like, be like, I would not have even done it as long as I did if I had not had the support.
Yeah.
And I did not always have support, because I definitely had one mother in particular that had a struggle, so she never did it. And because she didn't, she felt like I should just give up. Every conversation was, oh, just give up, it's easier. Just give up, it's easier.
Yeah.
And if you have people that surround you and that's all anyone says, I mean, good for you for not doing that, for like sticking, because I don't know what I would have said, because I was fortunate enough that I had the support. But
Yeah.
in truth, formula is easier, but that doesn't mean that it's the better choice.
Yeah.
Right.
And if that's not what you want to do, then don't do
Then
that.
don't do it.
Continue to try and continue to make it work as best
Yeah.
you can. I just couldn't after that, but he's never been sick, like ever. Like other than like that baby
Like-
fever they get when they teeth, he's never
Yeah.
been sick
Yeah.
at
You know,
all.
They don't
So
get that runny nose when there's teeth coming in.
it never
and,
turns into anything though. And it's like, yeah, so the early benefits are, I mean,
Yeah.
they're important. And it's like, it's just crazy to me. I really didn't know that there was that big of a gap. And then after we talked about it, I started looking at the statistics, and I was like, I just had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. Small tangent, sorry.
It's okay. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then not being able to, not doing it, not being successful with it doesn't make you a bad mom either.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It doesn't make you a bad mom
No.
either.
I mean, at the end of the day, fed is best. Whatever
Yep.
whatever you as a parent can do or
Yeah.
decide to do, like feed your baby. That's what's important.
As long as they're getting what they need, you're not gonna hear me complaining about it.
Yeah.
And the way my son eats, I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit. He started eating 4 ounces at 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Ollie
At
jumped
2
from
weeks.
3 ounces to 6 by 2 months. And I was like,
Yeah.
6 ounces, that's a lot for one
Man,
feeding.
and he burns through it too. Like
Ugh.
even then he was burning through it.
You would
right?
not know by looking at how skinny he is, but that kid puts food away.
I know by having a boy.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
I know by having
that's
a
right.
boy.
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
did you just see the 3 snacks he just ate standing right here?
Like it was nothing.
Like it was nothing.
I got my chunky little girl, and she like eats little petite meals, and she's done. And like they just got these tall boys, and I'm like,
Yeah, just wait
Oh,
till
well.
they're teenagers. That
Oh,
Costco
no.
membership's gonna come in handy.
Man.
oh,
It's funny because I went into Costco the other week and I was like, I should probably get a membership because I got a couple of things. I
Sure.
went with my best friend
Mhm.
and I was like,
Yeah.
this is probably the life that I need to leave,
I mean,
live.
Yeah.
look, I like those giant rolls of toilet paper and and paper
It's
towels.
worth it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean Sam's Club, Costco, whatever.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And then we have one more question for you.
Aria agrees. So the other question we've been asking is just if there was anything outside of the things that you've already talked about or shared, if there was anything else that you just felt completely unprepared for. And it doesn't have to, I mean, it can be anything. It can be a physical thing, it can be a mental thing, anything like that just anything else that you could think of.
Well, the first few days, I wasn't prepared to be a mom.
Sure.
Like, I expected the feeling to be instant.
Mm.
And I remember laying there, and I was in so much pain after having him. I remember laying there, and he was screaming, crying, like screaming. And I was like, I'm just not built for this. I don't feel like I can do this. And I felt like it was postpartum depression because I just didn't feel like I was fit to be a mom. And you always think, okay, you got to do this way.
Yep.
You got to do this that way. Like there has to be a right way to do it. And I mean, being a mother, I realized there is no right way to be a mother. And you always know best, and you should always trust whatever you feel. And it's not really anybody, you can't really get it from anybody else. It's something that you have to get from yourself, and whatever you choose to do is right for you and right for your baby. And it might not be the same as anyone else,
right?
But what's right for you is right for the baby. It's your decision, it's your job.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's definitely a thing. I mean, it's hard for dads in the beginning
Yeah.
because they just don't have that instinct. I remember getting frustrated with Mike, my husband, because she's crying. What do I do? I'm like, well, you calm down.
Yeah.
You lay
Breathe.
the baby down. She's okay. Cry for a minute. It's okay.
I taught
they
Rick
just-
a checklist. I said, you go through the list. You say, does he need to eat? No. Okay. Does he need to diaper change? No. Is he tired? Do we need to try to get him to lay down? No. Okay. Is his stomach tight? Because in the beginning they
Right.
worry about all the gas stuff. And I was like, okay. And then if none of those items are it, then they're just being a baby. Like
I mean,
like eventually he'll
sometimes
calm
they just
down.
cry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't always know that in the beginning. Like,
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's because your maternal instinct tells you fix it.
right.
Yeah.
And it does that now. Like
Yeah.
I had to adjust to hearing Oliver cry, and then now I know, like, I can tell the difference between his cries, but sometimes I have to remind myself to let him work it out,
Yeah.
or to help him understand why he's upset.
Now that they're
If
older,
he
yeah.
steps on something or hurts himself, it's like, okay, I know. Or if he does something that he cries about that didn't hurt but
Mhm.
probably scared him, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that was scary. I understand, and it just kind of, because the first thing you want to do is you're like, okay, make it
You're
stop because I wanted to
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
it for them. And that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Getting used to that concept.
Of like figuring out what do their cries mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like eventually
It falls into place.
it falls into place.
Have you ever seen that video of the doctor that interprets cries and stuff like that? No?
We should react to that sometime.
Is it a spoof or like it's for real?
It's a for real thing.
If you look it up, he was on Oprah and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Okay.
like I have seen the one of the doctor who does vaccines and like the babies don't cry. I'm like, I need that.
Is that
Oh,
the
the
doctor
one-
that takes
It's like,
30
whoop,
minutes
whoop.
because he does like
yeah. I saw that video. that you're
I'm like,
talking
you can
about.
boot me on my nose so I don't cry.
Yeah, really. You get so distracted. How could you get upset?
But man, they're having a good time upstairs.
Yeah, really. I heard him call me.
Was that him?
Yeah, that was him.
Okay. All right. 11:40 is not bad. All right, we're gonna wrap up. All right. Well, thank you again so much for hanging out with us today and talking to everybody. We really appreciate you
Yeah.
Definitely
coming out and sharing your experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the schedules were crazy.
That's
it's
part of
okay.
being a mom.
It's part of being a mom. Kids
We've
playing
been filming.
upstairs
We've
and,
been
like,
filming this segment for like 2 months because it's hard. It's hard to get everybody's schedules
Yeah.
together because all moms do different things. So
Yeah.
it's hard.
It is. It's part of being. It's part of life. Part of being a mom.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for sharing in our journey with the whole series and for hanging out with Nana today. And make sure that you, if you like this video, hit the like button. Definitely subscribe to our channel if you want to continue to follow us. Hit the bell icon. It'll let you know when we upload our next video. Social media, we try to post every day. So definitely, check us out. And we will see you guys next time. And yeah, bring you more moms and collabs, and we'll see where this journey takes us. So we'll see you next time, moms. Bye.